Dr. Ron Paul is the sitting congressman from the 14th District in Texas. Among his colleagues in Congress, he is known as Dr. No, because he frequently votes no on bills simply because they are not constitutionally sound. Among real Americans and freedom lovers, he is more often known as the Patriot Congressman. Ron Paul continues to work diligently on behalf of the rights and principles enshrined in the Declaration of Independence and protected by the Constitution for the United States. It's always a special pleasure and distinct honor for me to introduce a genuine public servant in the best spirit of the American Founding Fathers, the Patriot Congressman, Dr. Ron Paul. Welcome back to the Global Freedom Report.
Thank you very much. Nice to be with you.
Thank you, Ron. Ron, you've been in Congress for a lot of years, and during that time, I have never lived in your district. Nevertheless, and wherever I am located at any given moment, I want you to know I always think of you as my representative, and I know there are a lot of Americans who feel the same way.
Thank you very much.
Now, I'm going to ask you about both of these, but I'm curious, which do you think is the more significant issue? The ongoing economic depression or the upcoming midterm elections?
Well, you'd think they should be connected, and some are trying to connect them, but obviously the financial crisis coming up should be on their minds. That should be number one. But that is related to not only the finances, but also the crisis in our loss of liberty. But if it were proper, it should be the only thing they would be talking about in the election and trying to pick the candidates who understand the problems, as well as having a concise explanation of what happened and what we should be doing about it. But I don't know if there's a close enough connection to that. But I think we've made some progress, but we have a long way to go yet.
All right, let's start with the midterm elections. Now, most people see a significant Republican gain coming. What political consequences do you see emerging from the midterm elections, assuming a change of party leadership in at least one house? What do we have to look forward to these next 2 years?
Well, I think there'll be benefits, even though you won't see any major new laws passed or even, anything repealed, because the president will be there and he will veto any changes. The question has come up about whether the Republicans will do better than they did in the past when they had a chance, and that's an important question. I think they will for two reasons. I think they've learned their lesson to some degree, at least. They're getting the message from the people that they don't trust either party, and they're going to give the Republicans another chance, or maybe the Republicans will be a little firmer in following what they pretend that they believe in. But the other reason why the Republicans are going to do better is they still will be a party resisting those in charge, because the Democrats, if they're still in charge of the Senate and you have the president, the Republicans are more likely to stand firm. It's almost better than if we had a president like we did have as a Republican, because he was promoting big government. In the Congress, the House and the Senate, the Republicans just laid down and did whatever he wanted. But I think the best message that could come out of this is, if we do get control of the House, is they will stand firm, and at least it may slow this up and give us a breathing spell, and instead of having one law after another with finance reforms and bailout packages and socialized medicine and all of this stuff coming at us. At least we might have the benefit of a little bit of gridlock, and people like to paint that as being very negative, but if they're doing all the wrong things, gridlock isn't necessarily bad.
Yeah, well, actually, I think that we are best off when two different parties hold the White House and the Congress, or the two houses of Congress, for exactly that reason. But there's talk now, there are some stories emerging that suggest that Obama, if he's not going to have the support of Congress, he'll just do what he wants to do through executive order. We've seen this over the years, where the president just circumvents Congress regularly, obviously not the intent of the framers. Is there anything we can do to head off something of that sort? Or do you think that that's what it's going to turn into, just 2 years of executive orders?
That's an ongoing problem, and it may accelerate rather than him, sort of capitulating to a degree like Clinton did. I think Obama is much more capable of flaunting his power and writing executive orders and doing whatever he pleases and doing it through regulations. And he's been pretty blunt about that when he was trying to get some environmental laws passed. He said, I'll just do it by regulations, executive order. But that should be looked at as an opportunity for the people, because more people are vigilant now. There's a lot of people watching, both Republicans and Democrats. There'll be a lot of new people who have been through the mill right now of this turmoil among the political people. And we should take this. If he starts doing this, is point it out, not only because he might be doing something improper, but the process is so bad. Whether it's a signing statement like President Bush did, or executive orders, or even the basic principle of writing regulations. That's a law. And yet Congress here for 50, 60, 70 years just said, oh, you can write any regulation you want. Oh, yeah, we have the right to override it. As a matter of fact, they passed a law in 1994 or 95 saying that the Congress has a right to repeal regulations. Lo and behold, that was a minor attempt to address the point that they shouldn't even be writing these things. But since that time, I think they've overridden one regulation. But if the president starts to do this, we who are anywhere close to it should be shouting even louder than ever, and hopefully we will have continued support from the Tea Party movement, and they don't become complacent. Too often in the past, like in the year 2000, when the Republicans won the House and the Senate and the presidency, they said, it's great, the revolution's here, they'll take care of us, and we'll have shrinkage of government. And that was a mistake for them to become so complacent.
Let's talk about Obamacare for a moment. You're a doctor, so you know more than many the potential damaging consequences of Obamacare. There's been a lot of talk during the election campaign, vote for me and we're going to repeal Obamacare. But I don't think most people understand how difficult it is, assuming both houses go Republican, assuming both houses vote to repeal, the president's going to veto it and you're not going to have a 2/3 override. So right. Is there really any kind of a reasonable chance of at least repealing portions of Obamacare, or are we really going to have to just push it through the courts? Is that our only option?
Yeah, and the courts won't guarantee a good outcome. I think, let's hope maybe he'd concede a little bit. I'm on a bill to repeal the whole thing, but like you, I'm skeptical that's not likely to happen. But I have one bill that just repeals the mandate. As bad as things are, I've always said, if we permit the people to opt out of a system, we can survive. That to me, like in education, that would be, as long as we have some who can still homeschool and private school, maybe we can have a little check on government education. And if we had that in medicine, the medical savings accounts tried to address that you could just get out of the system and be responsible for yourself. But Obamacare, essentially cancels that out. And it's not going to be very easy. But I do think what's going to happen, though, before we tinker around and improve it, is I think the whole system will fail. The government's going to be in dire needs for real funding, because the dollar is going to go bust, and they won't be able to manage it. So somebody's have to just pick up pieces, regardless of what the federal government is trying to do.
Well, I hope we could do something with Obamacare, that's for sure. I have some questions out of the chat room I want to run down with you. First off, from Stonewall, why has there been no official investigation into the crimes of 9/11 operation to date? If a gas station gets robbed, the police conduct an investigation and hunt down the perpetrators. No such required detective investigation has ever been initiated. Why has such not been done?
Well, people were quite satisfied that, as long as you have a commission to study it, and we had the 9/11 commission to study, the causes, and that was, finished, and there was a report, and everybody figured, I guess that was all taken care of. But these commissions, all these commissions that are set up to investigate government, they're just mainly set up to cover up all the mistakes that have been done, so you never get to the bottom of it. So it's not likely to happen. People now are not about ready to have a real investigation. Now, who's going to do the investigation? The government?
Well,
is Obama going to...
Actually, from activist in the chat room, he said you'd know what this is about. He said, why has Ron Paul not done anything about the case Field McConnell handed you in person?
Well, I don't know what he'd expect me to do, because I think, taking on the Fed and the IRS and big government, all the spending for me to, I don't have the facility to investigate. I'm not part of the judicial system. I'm not part of the executive branch. I'm not part of the leadership, either in the Republican or the Democratic Party. So there's really, there's a limit to what an individual can do. My position is we don't know the truth of it, but having another investigation